welcome to the produce garden again. Now, what I'm going to be talking about today, and tonight I should say, is a small series that I'm going to be doing of videos that I'm going to call Field to Kitchen. Now, I'm going to start instigating some recipes on here from the livestock, if you raise livestock, and then things you can use. The main thing I want to kind of emphasise is the usage of the whole animal. Now, just quickly, I had a lamb go to the abattoir this week. Now, the lamb's going to hang for 2 weeks. It was about 5-6 months old, but I got the offal today, straight away from the butcher. So the available offal that you can get is the liver, the heart, and the kidneys. Now, I'm going to just go through a simple liver recipe today. Now, people either love the liver or they hate it. I like it. I've eaten it my whole life since I was a kid, so I quite like it. Some people don't. A lot of people that say they don't have never tried it. Now, all I'm going to be doing, I've got my liver here, which I've just sliced, about 15mm slices, and I've put it in some flour, just some seasoned flour. Now I've got some oil, olive oil, just heating up for me here. Now all I'm going to do, the other thing I want to kind of talk about is just using the home produce, your own produce from the garden. So most of the things here tonight, I've got potatoes. I've made some mashed potato, so potatoes from the garden, some cooked onion from the garden, sage, fresh sage from the garden, and liver. So there's not many items of the recipe that I'm doing tonight that don't actually include things that I've actually grown or raised in my own garden. Now all I'm going to do quickly, now I have seasoned this flour. So just with the flour, I just got some dried sage, some dried thyme, and a little bit of dry rosemary, and put it in the mortar and pestle, ground it up and mixed it with the flour. But I've got some fresh rosemary too, which I'm just going to quickly put into the oil, which I'll just turn up a little bit. Now, I just want to basically cook the sage a little bit, and I want to infuse some of the flavour into the oil, because that's what I'm going to cook this lamb's fry in. Or liver. In Australia, I guess we say lamb's fry, but wherever you're watching, you probably just know it as liver. Now, just be careful when you're actually cooking sage. A lot of herbs, sage, parsley, anything really. Obviously, we all know the flavour of these things, and when you cook them, they're great. But if you burn them, they become quite acrid, and the taste can just permeate the whole dish and ruin everything. So I'm just going to give it a quick couple of seconds just to get it going. Now, another thing I want to kind of talk about is usage of the whole animal. So I'm using the offal today, and hopefully the next couple of weeks, my lamb's going to hang for a couple of weeks, so I'll get the legs. What I've got is the legs coming back as leg roast, and hang on, just take this out, I'll just chuck it on the onion, and the chops, and I've got a lot of the rest of the animal made into mince by the butcher, so I'm going to make sausages. So I'll do a video on making snags as well, so we'll see how we go. Now, it's not too hot. Just place that in there. The main thing with liver, I think, that puts a lot of people off is the fact that it gets overcooked. People tend to cook it until it's like rubber, and that the consistency of rubber is pretty much how it goes. So that puts a lot of people off. It's kind of like calamari or squid. I think it can become quite rubbery, but if you cook it well and cook it properly, it's quite delicious. So let me just turn this heat up a bit. So I like to cook my lamb's fry just at a kind of a gentle heat, but I like it not to be raw in the middle, but just slightly pinkish. If you cook it all the way through, it turns to rubber, it tastes foul, and it puts you off altogether. Now let me just give this a quick white. Now, try not to turn everything a million times. By flouring it too, it just gets rid of some of the moisture around the outside. Just splashed on me. And it gives it a little bit of a coating as well too. So that just spat all over me, so careful of that, especially if you're eye level like I am. And I'll turn those over. Just coming along. Careful of the splashes. Lucky I've got glasses on. Now the other thing I've done with my onions, I haven't literally just cooked onion and put them in. What I did, I cooked them in some olive oil, and when it was just on a gentle heat, so they just went transparent and just went soft. And then I just put in a little sprinkle of sugar, some salt and some pepper, and just a splash of white wine vinegar as well, which just gives it a nice kind of sweetness. The vinegar and the sugar just bring out the taste of the onions, and it's really nice. What I've also got here too is a little bit of just everyday gravy powder, just to thicken it up a little bit. And I've also got an additive, which is quite nice, some balsamic vinegar, which is nice to add to it. Now keep your eye on the liver too, because it is quite quick to cook. It's obviously the consistency of liver isn't like normal meat, like a steak, whereas the liver will take on the heat and the cooking process quite quickly, so it'll cook through a lot quicker than what I'd like, say, a T-bone steak or what have you would. So that's coming on nicely. Now, I do still buy a lot of meat, but I am trying to instigate a bit of self-sufficiency with mine as well too, like raising chickens and sheep for meat as well. I was vegan for 2 years and vegetarian for 8 years, so I understand the plight of vegetarians. Mainly nowadays, obviously I eat meat, but it's just the process of which they're kind of killed and transported that I still am a bit not happy about. Like, I do understand that there's such a huge amount of people that have to be fed, so it is kind of hard. But if you can instigate, just a little bit of self-sufficiency with your own meat, then you can kind of just take back a little bit from the conditions that some of the animals have to be put through. Alright, now that's cooked quite nice. Now I'm just going to put the sage that we cooked first. It's gone a little bit crunchy, which is what we want. And the onions in. Clean hands, of course. Now I'll turn up the heat a little bit. Mix that through, so it's almost like a little stew going on. Nice. Now, it can become a bit dry, so I've got a bit of hot water here, and I can put a little bit of gravy mixed in. If you find that it's getting kind of dry, a bit of bacon would be nice too, but I'm trying to cut down on the amount of bacon I eat. Now, just a splash of balsamic. Let that flare up a bit. Now, this will give it a nice colour as well. Alright, turn the heat down. I'm trying to do this quickly so I've got enough time for it to be on YouTube. Now I'll just plate up. Now, this is just for home, so it's pretty basic. Just some mashed potatoes. Obviously you can have other vegetables if you want to. And I'm just trying to arrange the pieces of liver across here. And some of the onion across the top. That's a bit slapdash. But there you go. Lamb fry with onions, sage and balsamic, and just some nice mashed potato. Cool. If you have any questions, just give me an email at theproducegarden@yahoo.com.au. I'm going to go through the recipes for the rest of the lamb in the next couple of weeks too. I hope you enjoyed that. Thanks. See ya.